I was living the picture perfect life, and I was hosting the top events across the world, and I was traveling to the best of places. I had even bought my dream home, and we had just moved into it. And I remember on the day of the Griha Pravesh, how happy I was, and I thought to myself, finally, after years of hard work, I can put my feet up and I can enjoy and relax and I can watch my parents live their best life. But life never goes, it seldom goes as we plan. On that one fateful morning, I was having breakfast with my mother when she vomited blood. And she had absolutely no medical history as such. And I have this crazy intuition, and in my gut, I had an eerie feeling, and I knew something was not right. And I rushed her to the hospital. And after that, everything was like a daze. Everything started moving in slow motion. The doctor told us that she was diagnosed with stage 3 liver cirrhosis and that 80% of her liver was damaged and that she needed a liver transplant within the next 10 days from a live liver donor within the family with the same blood group as hers. So primarily we were looking at somebody healthy to donate 60 to 70% of their organ to her so that my mother could live. Now, the same people who were there in our housewarming, in the Griha Pravesh, in the parties, I looked for them, but they were nowhere to be found. Everybody disappeared, and it was me and my 68-year-old father together fighting this mountain. My life changed in a fleeting minute. From microphone in my hand, it became all syringes in my hand. And from my coffee cups and my favorite Starbucks order, it became blood bottles. And from my boarding passes and the scripts of my events, it all turned into medical history and medical reports and papers. My life turned upside down, and I couldn't imagine what I was going through. Well, I did get the courage, and for my mama, I underwent an 18-hour-long liver donation surgery, and I was in the ICU. And I remember when I half woke up in the ICU at a hospital, my consciousness was really dangling between life and death. It was like my soul was so tired and so torn. I was thinking to myself whether I want to stay or I want to go from this realm. Nevertheless, there was a little ray of hope. You know, I thought to myself, wow, I'm this superwoman and I've done this and now I'm going to be able to save the person who's the most special to me, my best friend. But sometime after that, I lost my mother. And that was my rock bottom. That was the lowest of my lows. And it was a black hole. And I know this is a lot of struggle, but now I come to the point of my talk. What I'm trying to tell you today here is that what if I told you that the toughest moments in your life and the moments when you hit rock bottom are actually the defining moments of your life. You know, from decades of conditioning and from us being expected to live that perfect life, when your first fears come true, these are the moments that redefine you. These are the moments that you should not let go, because these are opportunities when you can rebuild yourselves. When you can rebuild yourselves unburdened by the expectations of the world into the most raw, real, and most importantly, imperfect version of yourselves. So I went on to a journey of self-discovery and healing, and I found my guru and I found my inner voice, and I went to ashrams and I went to pilgrimages. So I'm here today to tell you about the 5 steps of healing and personal transformation. Step one is going to be trauma. This is difficult, and there's going to be some event. It's going to be a breakup, or a loss of a loved one, or the loss of a job, or the loss of a relationship, or something as simple as you wake up one day and you're just not happy with your life. It's going to happen. And I urge you to not take these moments lightly, because these moments are disruptors. I call them catalysts of change. Because only when trauma happens are you going to be forced to see parts of yourselves that you're not ready to see yet. And from trauma, we move to stage two, which is pain. Now comes the most difficult stage, when you're going to go through the most difficult emotions, and emotions you don't want to face, and you're going to go through anger and pain and sadness and rage and abandonment, and you're going to go through it all, and you're going to think, oh my God, where has life put me? How do I even deal with these emotions? But I promise you, when you are there, and when you're experiencing those tough emotions, just give yourself grace and know that all your emotions are valid. I was upset, like, why me? I used to ask God, why me? Why did I have to go through all this? I used to ask God, okay, I went through all this, you still took away my mother? Like, why me? I was so angry. I was angry with the people who abandoned me, my family and friends who left me alone. I was really upset. And I was escaping. Some days I was drinking myself to sleep, some days I was partying myself to sleep, some days I was working myself to sleep, but the pain never seemed to go. And then came the answer. Your pain demands to be felt. You cannot escape it, you cannot suppress it. You can temporarily try doing that, but eventually, I always say, you got to feel it to heal it. So I started feeling my pain. I started sitting with it, and I started giving it what it demanded. It demanded to be felt. And that brought me to the third stage of healing. And the third stage of healing is acceptance. Now, this is weird and strange, because you are going to accept that, okay, I'm down and out, and this has happened. But you're going to learn grace. You're going to learn to make space for your past experience and your bad memories and your patterns. And it's going to crack something out in your heart, and it's going to crack your heart open. But that is exactly where light is going to enter you. And when a light enters you, you are going to learn forgiveness. And that's what I learned. I started learning how to forgive myself for dealing with it in whatever best way I could. I started learning how to forgive people around me, because probably they did not have the kind of courage I expected them to have. I started forgiving everybody and the circumstances and everything, and I started processing things better. So acceptance is your system processing your past and making space for it. I made space for my grief, because I understood that grief is nothing but love that goes unexpressed. And I gave it a chair next to me like a long lost friend, because I promise you, if you understand that not always is your pain your enemy, that sometimes it is a friend. All it demands is for you to embrace it. And the moment you embrace your pain is the moment you take away its power. So that's a beautiful stage, the stage of acceptance and processing. And that brings us to stage 4 of healing and personal transformation. And this stage is micro habits. Now, how are you going to personally transform? It is not going to happen just in one moment that you have an epiphany. No, it's not going to happen in a day that you had, oh my God, I had this epiphany, I had this realization, and now I'm healed. It is not going to happen. Healing is many, many micro habits, many, many decisions that you take every day, and I started small. I started with something as simple as dragging myself out of the bed on days that I did not feel like. Something as simple as going out in the sunlight and hearing the birds chirp and being present in that moment. Something as simple as writing a letter to my mother for how bravely she fought the fight, writing a letter to myself for how bravely I went through it all, going for walks with my father and talking about shared memories. So do whatever you want to do, whether it be journaling, meditation, mindfulness, quitting alcohol, starting exercising, but you will have to take up these micro habits because together, slowly, these small habits are going to trigger a big personal transformation in you. And that brings me to the final stage of healing, which is turning your pain into purpose. Now, this is when you become an alchemist and you realize that when you were in pain, you thought it's going to harden you, right? But that doesn't happen. Pain comes to soften you, to deepen you, to turn you into a magician of life. And that's when you realize that the mountain that you were going through can actually be moved. You turn your pain into a purpose of life and you learn true wisdom from your pain. And I'm proud to tell you that my purpose became to help and to speak to liver donors. And through the last 2 years, I've probably spoken to and helped. I'm no medical practitioner and I have absolutely no medical experience on this, but through my personal experience of liver donation, I've been able to talk a lot of liver donors through their journey, and I'm proud to tell you that all of them, all the patients except for my mother, have survived. And that's how I turned my pain into purpose. So if any of you listening to me today, you're going through something in your life and you feel down and out and you feel like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, you're going through a breakup or a loss and you feel like the pain is unbearable, then let me tell you, my friend, one day you're going to look back and you're going to say that I moved that mountain and that mountain is now small. Thank you.